My name is Winston. My regimental number is 3258. I left the Army as a private soldier. I joined the Army in 1963. Well, in those days, as you probably know, what encouraged me really to join the TTR, right? In those days, you know, work was hard to get. And the Defense Force, or the Army, had now started in Trinidad. And everybody were trying to get there. So, I was a young guy running around, nothing to do, enjoying life. And I said, let me give it a try. I always remember that when I went for that interview, there was over 100 and something youth standing there. And you know, while chatting with them, this one have A, B, C, D, E, F. And when I looked, I realized, I said, look, it's better I get out of here, because when people showed me the certificate, I realized I didn't have much of that. But I stick around. And at that time, they wanted 30 youths, 30 people in the Army. And the Lord helped me, and I was one of the 30. Because there was the test they were giving at those days was an intelligent test. So a lot of people were bright, but it was intelligent. I spent 7 years in here. My experience in the Army was something I would like to do it over and over again. The good part about it is, in my time, they still had the white men there. And I was trained under the white man. My training corporal was, what's his name, boy? I can't really call his name, but we had a name for him. We used to call him Best Boots, right? We removed Best Boots. We used to call him Corporal Mitchell. Corporal Mitchell. And I remember while he's training, the young fella come out, missing the girls, missing outside. I say, Corporal Mitchell, listen, hear what happened? I think I done with this, you know. He said, done with what? I said, done with the Army. I said, I can't go through this, you know, I want to get out of it. He said, all right, soldier, let me talk to you. I said, okay. So when I went to the corporal, he said, I'll tell you something. He said, I'll kill you here, you'll die before you leave this work. I said, but he said, I want to hear you again. And from that day, it was the hardest training of my life. He made sure that I stayed in the Army under all that pressure. So, I spent my time in the Army. I came out after recruit training. My number then becomes 3258. At that time, I think I was number 9 or something. So, but when I come out, my regimental number was 3258. Nurse W.
Where are some of the places you have worked in the regiment? Company you was assigned to?
Well, in those days, the regiment wasn't very big. So you're all over the place. To be truthful, I started in MT, transport. From there, I went to the gas station. I worked at the gas station, still in MT. I went a short spell in a gun company, not long. And you know, sometimes he's a miserable little soldier, you know, always in trouble, always getting locked up. And at one time, no officer wanted to have nothing to do with me, and I was not. They said I could go. No, nobody wanted that. And there was a Captain Granham. He was the messing officer. He said, send him by me. I never forget that. And after working right through, and I went with Captain Granham, I think it's there I really I learned management, because I was in charge of the dining hall, NCO in charge of the dining hall, and I was involved with a lot of ex-soldiers from the last World War. And my brother, as I will tell you all, it wasn't easy to work with them. They never used to call me young soldier, fall me out at all time. And I went along with them until one day, something happened. They tell me they left the camp and they gone out. I said, well, they go in draft nothing and they gone. And Captain Grannon meet them outside. And he come in and he said, Solia. No, they came back. And they say, Solia, we're in trouble. I said, what kind of trouble? Captain Grannon find you outside, but we wouldn't involve you. We could only lose a day pay. I said, let me tell you all something. I said, none of you all could leave here unless I give all of you, okay, I'm in charge here. I see yes, I'm in charge here. Captain Grannon called, well, in the days you pull you up, your boots, your belt, make sure your caps are looking good, drop a good foot and salute. Right? And I explained to him what really take place. That I give them the okay because I explained to him. I said, Skipper, if I were in my position, you'd have sent them out because of the holiday. He said, I told them fall out. And from there on, I had a very good relationship with my staff.
It's time to leave the regiment. What about that feeling that is?
Well, at the time in 1970 came up. And it had a lot of officers or you should say sergeant majors who believe you're a bad soldier. So somewhere along the line you're involved with 1970, you know. And they started pressure you. You know, I remember we had a corporal named BP. I don't know if you ever heard about Byron Paul. Byron Paul, BP. And an officer who I used to drive called him. And he was very, I don't know, he tell that officer where to get off. And you know, the corporal on charge. And they called me in as a witness. And as a witness, I explained to the commanding officer at the time that I didn't hear. You know. And I explained to my officer now that if I had to say anything, he wouldn't be able to help me. Because if you go against a corporal, you should know that. If a private, I don't know for now, but if a private go against a sergeant, all sergeant out for him. So that was one of the pressure that was going on. And at the time, in here was the street. Black Power used to be in here. So I live in here, so I used to go and listen to the meeting. Not knowing at the time that Burroughs and them was checking all the soldiers who listening to Black Power meeting. And when the 1970 break, the 21st of April, 1970, that is when they declare the state of emergency. With Rafik Shah, Rex Lascelles, so forth, so forth. And after that, I realized, look, some people get locked up, some people was put on hold, and in October 1970, I said it's time to get out of it, because at that time, some of the sergeant majors and them, because of what happened, sergeants and things, corporal, not really corporal, sergeants, because of what happened, the way they was treated in the 1970, they were very, how do you call it? They wasn't too happy, and they used to treat certain soldiers, they wasn't treating certain soldiers like, they lock you up every Monday morning, and it was kind of hard to survive. So I feel it was time to get out of it. And after I left there, you know, I moved around for some time, and then I ended up going to America. Because what happened after the 1970, a lot of soldiers, and I believe the government opened the door, and a lot of soldiers head for America. Now remember, they're heading for America, there are no green card, there are no documents, but they're gone. So I went over America, lucky for me I had my documents. And when I went over there and Pat James, he had something with the WIR. I don't know if you'll call it association, but it was the West India Regiment, men and them. And I see what they were doing, and I find it was good. And I meet some ex-soldiers, and when I look around, I say, listen, they're drinking, they're partying, they're enjoying life. And I say, when the time comes, these ex-soldiers will want to come home, and they'll have nowhere. Nobody to take care of them. And I came back to Trinidad, and I agreed to open the Trinidad and Tobago Armed Forces Veterans Association. But the first name was Ex-Military Personnel Association. That was the first name we gave it. Ex-Military Personnel Association. And we walk. It took me 3 years talking to people, nobody interested. And I keep talking. Until one day a fella named Warner, I met him drinking. He came from America. And he said, so you hear what happening? He said, if you start the association, I will support you. It was nice. I did start it because I was motivated. Well, maybe, I can't say what happened with him after that. He did call me in between. But what changed it, what bring the name now to the Trinidad and Tobago Armed Forces Veterans Association? That is after maybe a few years. The rebels were there, we started the association, we worked with it, and it keep going. And down the road, one or two, they'll call the loyalists, start to get involved. And when they start to get involved, that was Major Spencer, Raja, Colonel Solandi, Captain Philip. I said I ranked us. Get involved. And they agreed. We had a big, what do you call it? Thing in Hilton Hotel. And it was big, grand. Major General Brown was there. Carter, who was at the time, the president, acting president at the time, Carter. He was the acting president of the Trinidad and Tobago. So it was big. And within that time, working with these guys, they agreed to change it from that to the Trinidad and Tobago Armed Forces Veterans Association. One thing they realized, they didn't have much things to do because the logo was done there from way back, and it never changed from 1960, from that time to now. Right? So, what we did, we had a nice staff, we had problem as usual, problem here and there. You know, the bigger ranks, they start to fall out. Well, you'll take out someone just as you go along. Yeah. And it went, how you call it? It wasn't moving. And I remember one or two soldiers came to me and they say, Prive, I say, yeah. They say, you let the association fall down. It reached here. And I took it from there. I went and I registered. After registering it kept going. I was a businessman, I had an office. So it had an office it could have worked from. Right? It worked from there. We had a club. Right? And a lot of things happened within that time, which I believe, as I said before, when I will put them together and hand it to you. May I have your permission to fall out now? Or you need to ask me one more thing. My family was here, and I think what happened, I was married, but it didn't last long. Because in those days, for a young soldier to hold a family, it was very hard because it was one on, one off guard. In between you got 7 days or 14 days. So remember, your family, women in those times was not accustomed to that. Two things I always say, destroy family in Trinidad and Tobago in my time was 7 days on, 7 days off, and the army. Because women wasn't accustomed to that. They were accustomed to their man coming home at 4 o'clock. And that mashed up a lot of family. Yeah, that mashed up a lot of family.
So the support system wasn't really there.
No. But strange enough, the people who were in charge at the time, which was really I don't know if you call it the white men or whatever, that system, they used to go to your family because they knew it was hard. After they gave us 7 days or 14 days, they will carry you down, carry you home, and talk to your wife and try to explain to her, right? What is army then? You know, they try. But as I said before, in those days, you know, it was kind of hard because women get an opportunity to go out, things started to change. So marriage life was hard to hold on to in those days. So my marriage life didn't last very long. Although when I came out in 70, I tried to hold it back, yeah, but it didn't work. It was too late. I would like to see the Trinidad and Tobago Armed Forces Veterans Association in the next 5 years have an office that it could operate properly from, help a lot of veterans, because a lot of us don't know how much veterans out there have problems. Some on coke, some on whatever, some is vagrant, you know, but there's nobody out there to help them. And the only people that could help them is the Trinidad and Tobago Armed Forces Veterans Association. So I would like to see in the next 2 years that the association really becomes powerful enough to help these people, right? Now look at it. As you look around, you realize we're getting older. Good? As I said before, when I went to America, a lot of people had to come back home. Who they coming home to? So we need to set up something like a home, that when they come back, they have a place they could stay. I know that the pension will be coming in from America, so we will take that. But there must be somewhere that, you know, that they could, yeah, there should be a nice, a beautiful home. Now some people say the government should help. Yeah, we all agree the army should help. But remember, they're not accustomed to soldiers as far as they're concerned. Soldiers just there and getting fat. They're not looking at when it was the hurricane. They're not looking at when they sent soldiers to Haiti. They're not looking at the things soldiers as if something should happen. They're not looking at 1990. They're not looking at that. Right? You know, so when something happens, they give, and after that, they just forget you. So you can't depend on the government to help you. We will love them to help us. We like them to look at it in a different way. But we as former Defense Force members, we must follow what we have. We must take care of our own. And that is very important. We must take care of our own. And as long as we can do that, we will reach somewhere. At this point in time, I'm 78 years, right? And I have been with the veterans since 1987, fighting to bring it to you. And it's still going. I remember, as I always say, I remember Major Bernard was asked a question. Look how long the armed forces veterans out. What did I've done for it? And what Major Bernard said? He said, listen, the most important thing is an association that start today and close down tomorrow. This association going for years. And as long as we keep trying and trying and trying, right? And people like a sergeant I just met, right, who will be going just coming out of the army just to get involved, we'll reach somewhere. And I do hope Sergeant Smith, who I just met, will get involved into the association and keep it going. He has a good president, Milan Garcia, vice president, and right now they have a nice team. Because you must remember, with all due respect, that in those days, we didn't have a good team because people were just young and selfish. They didn't care about one another. You know, when you're young and they tell a man, get involved in this now, by me, they're not thinking, right? So it takes you years for people to see what's happening. People in home, people suffering, and then little by little, people will get involved. What's nice about it, we have a relationship with the WIR. That is the West Indian Regiment. What had happened was, while the association was running, the Armed Forces Veteran Association was running, Major Bernard and a team, Major Wade and they get together to start to remember these guys come from all over the Caribbean. And they started a program to go back. Everybody went back to their land. So our first thing, which I was not a WIR man. Our first place we went was to Jamaica, right? And that is who we have the relationship with. And what I am saying is, bear in mind that we are now a republic. And as a republic, we are the first country to have its own, in the Caribbean, to have its own Veterans Association. All the other Caribbean countries still under the Queen, whatever the name. Yeah. That is the, I just can't recall the name now, right? But we are the first country to have an association that represents our country. Treasurer now of the Trinidad Armed Forces Veterans Association is a WIR major. He's Major Eddie Wade. He is a director of music, right? He is now the treasurer of the Armed Forces Veterans Association. We have Colonel Selandi, a WIR man. I don't know if you know Colonel Selandi. So we have one or two men who serve with the WIR involved with the Trinidad Association.
Most memorable experience?
Forming the Trinidad Armed Forces Veterans Association. I remember, as I said before, when it started, everybody wanted to be president, this, that, and they wanted me to be president. And I explained to them, we have to find the right person. A lot of people pull out after that. And I called a guy, which he will come on one day by the name of Charles Ford. I went personally and bring him in. And sometime I and Charlie sit down until 2 o'clock in the morning. And we keep going, and right, Rafiq Shah, we'll call Rafiq. Rafiq will guide us. You know, because he had more management, you know. And we keep going, you know. I remember when Charlie's wife didn't even speak to me, you know, because she felt that we were staying out drinking. You know, until his daughter said, Mr. Nose was drinking, you know. You know, but Charlie Ford, we was all 2 o'clock in the morning. We still in our office, trying to put it together. It wasn't easy, but it was, you know. And as you'll read it, and Charlie said, I had a past place, big past place. And when we formed the association, we had to put it somewhere. I closed down my past place. Close it down, bring the parts here. You'll read it in the thing, they close it down, bring the parts here, and put the association in that office. And everybody says I'm mad, man, you know, because, you know, but what I saw is down the road where the association will reach and the people it will help. That is what I was interested in. And I must say that I'm happy right now. It didn't reach where I wanted to reach yet, but I'm happy that it's still going, right? We have to get an office, you know, because we had offices and things. At that time I was a business, so I was running through my office. So a lot of things happen in between. But I am so happy that it's still running, right? And I'm more happy that I've just met a new member, Sergeant Smith. Thank you kindly, sir. May I have your permission now to follow? Thank you. I am Winston, founder of the Trinidad and Tobago Armed Forces Veterans Association. And you are watching Joint Services Network, securing your legacy.